Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Luis Alberto Lopez versus Michael Conlan. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your predictions can be left down in the comments section below. Pretty interesting fight, going under the radar a little bit because of the kind of bigger fights that we've had in recent memory, but still a damn good fight. So we'd love to hear all your thoughts, your predictions, your bets down in the comments section below. And a little bit of fight info here. We have Luis Alberto Lopez taking on Michael Conlan. This will be at the SSE Arena in Belfast, Northern Ireland, airing live on ESPN in the featherweight division with Lopez's IBF featherweight title on the line. Now, in terms of picking fights of note or interest for me, this one could be one of the trickier pick'ems of the year. On paper, Conlan should be the better boxer and should have enough skill to get this job done. However, in the ring, he's been stopped by fighters like Lee Wood. With all due respect to Wood, is not a world beater necessarily, just a good, solid fighter, and Conlan, a guy kind of perceived to be the star in the making, was stopped by him in the final round. And we have to remember that Lopez, if he can do nothing else in the ring, is an awkward, weird guy that can set up very hard-hitting punches and can, bang a little bit and get you out of there. Very heavy-handed. Lopez is going into this fight with the champion's confidence, having just beaten Josh Warrington for this title, but Conlan is kind of going in desperate. Can't fall short in 2 title fights where he has a very good chance of winning and is expected to win. He needs this one. At the same time, Lopez wants to keep winning because that's how he stays relevant. So, does Lopez pick up the biggest win of his career, or will Conlan finally win world gold? Let's break this one down. Starting with the champion here, for Lopez to win, I think you want to get the left hook home. For starters, it's a shot that can work for a number of reasons for you. For one, Lopez has a really decent one. It's a very heavy shot that he throws very naturally. He can throw it from weird trajectories as well, kind of from the hip at times, more in that sort of defensive position at other times. Also has a very weird read from the arc perspective of just how he throws it. Like I said, it comes from a very awkward position. It's hard to prepare for, regardless of how well skilled you are as a fighter. So it's certainly something you can be effective with if you're Lopez. Also, Michael Conlan likes to switch hit, go from lefty to righty, and vice versa. If you can catch Conlan switching, or when he's in that lefty position, it can really pay off. It can pay off if he's switching, of course, because it might be something he just isn't prepared for as he's making those kind of moves. In the lefty position, of course, people know about the right hand being that kind of left hand killer, which it is. But again, you can set that up with both the jab, with your footwork, and also landing that sweeping left hand that kind of lines you up for the right hand. Now, Lopez's left is not necessarily a sweeping shot, but it's still one that can score well, potentially line him up for it. At the very least, it can leave some kind of hurt on him because, again, you got a decent left hand to begin with, so make sure you use it. I would also say don't lunge with your work. This is where you get caught. This is where you get made to look silly, and a faster fighter like Conlan will score, will make you look silly, and will pick up the points if you're doing it too consistently. He's good enough to do that if you're just basically airmailing him everything and he could see it coming. What's more, as a fight progresses, and I think Conlan is looking for the long game in this fight, it makes you more tired missing those kind of wild shots, and then it becomes far easier for the naturally faster fighter anyway to really get some work going in those later rounds when you might need to come from behind. You have heavy hands, okay? So you don't need to throw hard, you just need to land hard. And that comes by just naturally letting the punch produce itself in your natural throwing motion. Cocking it all the way back Jermaine Taylor style and just swinging for the fences. Don't need to do that here. Just put the punches on them. Your heavy-handedness will do the rest of the work for you. And finally, I would say press Conlan back. If Conlan backs up, it's when he can be caught, especially up against those ropes. Obviously, he got caught against the ropes against Lee Wood where he was knocked out of the ring entirely. Of course, as a pressure fighter or a power puncher, you're trying to push people back in general. But with Conlan specifically, because he is a fighter who likes to use more movement and dart in and out, when he's going back just in that sort of uniform line, it really opens up more avenues of opportunity for his opponents. It'll take some of the power out of his shots while you're also able to step into your own. And again, as a power puncher, a guy who likes to put some hurt on his shots, it's going to be all the better if you're able to step into them. And you don't want to have to be chasing him around the ring. At times, you might have to cut him off. At times, you're going to have to use some footwork, at least here and there, to kind of corner him. But once you do, it's pressing him back and making him hurt. Now, switching over to Conlan. For Conlan to win, I think you want to work the right hand. Either stance, this shot can work for you. As a righty, naturally, it's a shot you can work by setting it up with the jab. And of course, you have a decent jab, you have a decent right hand. When you throw it, the speed on it, the technique on it, it's pretty good. Naturally, you'll get that going there. At the very least, it's a good, solid scoring shot. As a lefty, at the very least, it will work as a jab that can kind of stab home and set up some of your other work, allowing you to safely switch at times when you need to and kind of finding the right stance for yourself in this fight. You're very comfortable with the shot. You can get it going early, and I think you'll have a lot of success with it. Again, even jabbing to the body can set up a lot of other work for you, slow him down, and of course, create some more defensive openings for you as well. And again, this is a hand that you work really well, and certainly will be able to do so as you switch from side to side going into this contest. I would also say avoid the exchanges. Power can't be in your game plan. It can't be the game you bring to this fight. Doesn't mean you don't put something on him he has to respect early. I think you should do that. But you just don't want to give Lopez his best chance, which is these kind of trade-off wars. So take it away from him as much as possible. Instead, hit and move. Dart in and out as you like to. Move laterally, step away from his power. The more perhaps that he tires or that you get into a groove, of course you can throw more combinations, more punches and bunches, but you don't need to do it from the beginning. And you certainly shouldn't be doing it where you're catching as much as you're throwing. There's no need to do that in this fight with someone who might have heavier hands than you do. And finally, I would say, don't be afraid to switch, but as mentioned, I can see you switching up and having success. However, it has to be done right and at the right time, with the right distance. This is a concern for any fighter, whether it's Terence Crawford, whether it's Conlan, that's looking to try and switch hit. You have to make sure you're doing it responsibly. If you're just doing it for the sake of doing it because you're trying to give him different looks every single round, it's like eventually it becomes its own pattern. He's going to time it, pace it out, and he's going to ultimately land something on you. The way that it's, to me, the most effective is the way someone like a Crawford uses it, where they assess the looks they're getting from both stances, try to do some of the work they're comfortable with from those positions, and then go with what works best towards the end of that fight. Within a round or two, or even three, you can kind of make sure you have your timing and rhythm down. Then you can kind of assess what you need to do, and when it makes sense and it's appropriate for you to switch again. That left hand can be successful either way, so it's not so much the shot selection, but it's also just overall what you feel the most comfortable with, both in terms of your openings, but also what you're leaving opening as well. Find the side that works best, use that most down the stretch, and you should have some success. Now, in terms of my pick here, look, let's be honest here. Anyone saying they know for sure who's going to win is a damn liar. That's all there is to it. That said, I'm siding with Conlan slightly. The tiebreaker, or whatever you want to call it, I think is ultimately just the better skills will win this fight for Conlan, or at least they should, especially early on in the fight, certainly enough to pull off the victory. Conlan will box well. I don't think he'll be timid, but he'll certainly keep in mind of the fact that he's been stopped in this big fight before, and he wants to make sure he's not going to let it happen again. Knowing his best bet is to land quickly and to avoid those big bombs, I think that's what he's going to look to do against Lopez. Lopez will start making it closer as the rounds wear on, but Conlan will remain poised, barring some massive shot just completely altering the fight or the outcome of the fight. Conlan might slip towards the end, I think, perhaps putting in so much effort to put forth the best performance he can, but even if he's clipped or decked, I do think he has just enough to get up, survive, and pull it off. Winner, Michael Conlan via unanimous decision. Now, in terms of the betting odds here, you have Lopez and Conlan both coming in at a -110. It is exactly what you'd expect to see from a pick'em fight. Truthfully, there's pretty decent value in either guy. It's just, again, one of those situations where you pick who you think's going to win the fight. I know that seems obvious, and I've said this before, and I get the sense some people are like, well, yeah, obviously you pick who you think's going to win. But sometimes you make picks based on who you think's going to win, and sometimes it's about the value of the bet you're getting based upon those odds. In this case, because they're so close, and because, not just on paper, but in the ring, it appears like this fight could be close. It really is just a matter of who do you think wins the fight. It is that simple in this particular case, where in others, it might not be. Obviously, for me, I'd go with Conlan, but nothing over a small bet here, because again, this could really go either way. As of this recording, I could not find an over or under, but my guess would be 10.5, because I do think this fight goes the distance, and so do the odds makers. How do I know that? Because I found a prop bet based on whether or not this fight will go the distance. The odds say yes at a -240, with no coming in at a +180. I do think the value here actually is, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, the value is in a no. Even though I do think this goes to the decision in favor of Conlan, I do think at basically a 2-to-1 odd for a stoppage of any kind in any round, I think you get decent value in that. Conlan could overwhelm Lopez, and Lopez certainly could land a heavy shot on Conlan that changes a fight. Whether or not my pick is for decision, if I'm making a bet, it's probably on no, just because, again, that isn't such out of the realm of possibility, and you're getting decent odds for a relatively small to maybe even medium-sized bet. In any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 15-6 with 10 exact, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, predictions, bets, so on and so forth. How do you see this fight going? Of course, we'd love to hear your picks, all that good stuff. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. You can email me at junboxing@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out junboxing.com for schedule, results, grades, betting odds, rankings, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.